So, hey, Jared.
Yeah.
So this past weekend, I got to go to an art exhibit.
Really?
Yeah.
Where at?
Down in DC.
Nice.
Yeah. For one of my favorite things.
Lord of the Rings?
No. I mean, that is one of my favorite things.
I know.
But no.
One of your other favorite things.
Yeah. Not a specific intellectual property like that.
Okay. I don't know. One of your favorite things is directing.
All right. Well,
I'm not going to guess.
It was Nathan Sawai, The Art of the Brick.
Oh, Legos.
Yes,
of course.
Lego.
Yeah.
So this guy, and you probably, if I describe his famous piece of art, you would be like, oh yeah, I've seen that, I think. So it's made of all yellow Lego.
Okay.
And it's a full body from torso up, arm and face, but it's all yellow. So it's just single, but then the guy's ripping open his stomach and kind of where your rib cage is, and it's hollow, and there's pieces of more yellow brick just falling out.
Cool.
Have you seen this?
I don't think so.
That's what he got famous for. I mean, this guy's been doing this for a really long time. Okay. I feel like the first time I came across him, Lucas was young, little, so, yeah. I mean, he's probably been doing it for 10, 15 years at least. I've just never seen his exhibit. I think it was in Philly for a little while, and it was going to go years ago when he was young. But it's just that's a little bit more of a trek.
Yes.
And just never did. And then, that I think was before when Aaron was alive. So right. That's what I mean. It's been a while. And then it just opened up in DC late January. So we just went, and Lucas and I went, and yeah, it was really cool. Really cool. I mean,
awesome.
Some original work to recreating life, things there's, a giraffe and and then there's a full recreation of a T-Rex skeleton that's
sick.
Huge. And then
so it was a whole exhibit.
A whole exhibit. You walk through. Yeah. And then there's recreations of some famous paintings. It's interesting to see he did some of the Starry Night, which Lego has now that you can buy.
Yeah.
But his version's different, and he did it long before they made it an actual set that you can buy. But anyway, it was really cool. People that follow me on Instagram can check out. I posted one picture because there's a life-size human made out of blue brick sitting on a bench. That
was the one I was going to ask you about, because I was like, what's the context for this photo? And that's from that. Okay.
Yes, that is from that. So
yeah, that was cool.
But yeah, it was really, really good, worth it. If you're in our area and you listen to this, and have any interest in that, I would definitely go check it out.
In DC.
It's not that far. Parking's pretty easy where it's at. It's not in a rough area to park. But it's also really close to a metro stop. So if you want to do that too.
That's always an issue in DC, is parking.
Yeah,
so
no, it's not downtown.
Yeah.
It's not that hard, but yeah, it was really cool, really fun.
Nice. How long is it?
I don't know.
You don't know how long they're going to be there? Okay.
Not sure if it says, but I didn't even check. I was more we're getting there when it opened. I was like, yeah, we're gonna go.
Gotcha.
Hey, welcome back to Screen Time TV, podcast where we discuss the latest streaming shows and typically dive in deep on a certain one. Currently, Severance season 2, or deep into.
Oh yeah.
They also cover some other things we've been watching, and sometimes a little bit of news, and then the internet infamous game show Based or Waste.
That's right.
So Jared, marshmallows are for team players. They don't just hand them out.
That's right. Yep. That was going to be one of my quotes. Yeah. That's a great one from this episode.
So I'm Josh, and this is my co-host Jared.
Josh, I wouldn't trust a word out of that mountebank's mouth, not even televisually.
You know, that's one I did not write down, but I almost did. I was like,
So
oh, that's a
good.
good one.
Yeah.
Televisionally,
yeah.
It's like,
Irving, one of the best, like,
yeah,
the way he delivers lines.
yes.
Amazing.
Just the way things are written in this show is ridiculous.
Oh, yeah, the language in general, yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into it. Do we have any feedback? I don't think so.
No, we do not.
No feedback. Okay.
Nope.
All right. So then let's get into what we've been watching. You got anything you've been watching?
Well, we're recording way earlier this week, so didn't have as much time. But yeah, I have one thing.
I got two.
All right, good. Well, you go.
You go first. Okay.
Yeah, so, you kick it off then. Yeah.
Maybe one of mine might be the same one. I don't know.
We'll see.
We'll see. So the one that I know is probably not the same one.
Okay. It's a Josh show.
Oh, the Josh. It's so I watched the film You're Cordially Invited.
Oh yeah.
This is on Amazon.
I saw this just came out.
Reese Witherspoon and Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny, but it's predictable. Yeah.
Is it actually funny?
There's some funny moments. Yeah, all absolutely. Right. I would say it's above average on these type of films. Like, I think it pulls it together. I think that honestly, the only thing that wasn't convincing to me is, now again, spoilers for this, but also
what are you going to spoil about this movie?
Well, it's what you would expect is going to happen.
Yeah.
So the two leads, you know, they're at each other's throats most of the time, and of course, in the end, they end up liking each other. Yeah. I just not buy it. There was any chemistry between Reese Witherspoon and Will Ferrell.
Okay.
In this film.
Is a strange combination. Yeah.
I was like, and honestly, I think the weakest part of this film is Will Ferrell. Like, I just don't think he fits the role very well. Really? And I think they could have found somebody better that she would actually have chemistry with, and that would sell it. And yet, because even like some of the stuff, it's like, because it's not super goofy. Like and plus I haven't seen him. I honestly, like, I feel like most things I've seen him in recently, it feels like Will Ferrell trying to act like Will Ferrell, and it just doesn't work. And I feel like it was maybe a dial back a little bit in this film, because it's also not calling for him to be super, super goofy weird.
Okay.
But I still didn't like it. That part was like the weakest part. I think the setups and the punchlines and some of the things that they were putting out was funny, if not predictable. This whole setup and premise is good. I think Reese Witherspoon she's always great in this kind of stuff, and like in Morning Show, where she's very, dramatic. She's great. So yeah. Okay,
well, that's why I asked. I was like, is it actually funny? Because Will Ferrell.
Well, the supporting cast is good too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Will Ferrell is not that good anymore, which is sad, because he was one of the top for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
Yep. But if you like that kind of thing,
Okay. Yeah, when I saw this came out, I was like, Josh is probably going to watch this. I will not.
Am I that predictable?
Well, these type of movies, these like straight to streaming movies, you tend to check them out.
What you would consider a romantic comedy / comedy. Like, I like, because when they're good, I like that kind of film. Yeah. And you never know, and you just got to watch them to see. And normally they're not so bad that for me, like, they're not so bad. Like,
yeah, but normally they're just fine.
Like I'd watch this film a couple times before I'd ever watch the movie we just reviewed for me again.
Youth Without Youth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just being honest.
Yeah. It's just these type of movies are just, they're always just fine to me. Like, they seem very generic. Well, it was like the one you mentioned last week or the week before with Jamie Foxx, and it's like the same type of movie.
100% the same. Yeah, that's the more, so that one's, there's been several of where it's like,
oh, right.
It's more of an action. It's more like an action movie that's a romantic action movie that's also comedy.
Like Ghosted.
Yes, Ghosted was like that.
Felt like AI wrote that movie.
And then there was the one that I think there was the one with Mark Wahlberg who was in it. That was also on it was Apple TV.
That was semi-recent too. Yeah.
It's like that's a certain even multi-genre thing. I don't know what you would call it. Like it's like romantic comedy, but action on top of it. Like, I don't know. But the problem is, not the problem. I think the thing is, like, there's always one of them though that breaks out, and if all of the pieces come together, they're so fun to watch. those kind of films, I think.
You know what? I'm just remembering the one with like that's very similar to this very specific genre that of like a lot of movies that have come out recently. This is a little while ago, but I really like the Adam Sandler one with Jennifer Aniston.
Yes,
that was
the
good.
murder mystery one.
Is that what's called murder mystery?
It might be called that. The first one was good. The second one was not.
Second was not.
But the first one was good.
Yeah, I like that one.
That was good. Yeah. So again, and that but you never know.
Yeah, you never know.
But I feel like even if I watch one, it's not like I hated it. Like I still don't.
Yeah.
Like I watched an hour and a half of it, and I'm like, oh, that wasn't bad. I laughed a few times. It wasn't painful.
That's good. You don't want to your viewing experience to be painful.
But it's also most of those films. Also, you don't have to give it your full attention, and you're still watching it, so you can kind of do something else. So anyway, that's
true.
Yeah.
Speaking of Adam Sandler, I am very excited. We're getting Happy Gilmore too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That should be this year, right?
Nothing's been said, but yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw behind the scenes of it, and
they're having like real golfers.
Yeah, but no, I was saying this relates to Severance because I saw Ben Stiller was on the set, which was cool because he was in the original as a very infamous character. Yeah. So I'm glad he's in it again.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. All right. So what what was the one thing you got that you watched?
So this is the one I mentioned during Based or Waste last week, called Paradise.
Okay. This is my other one.
Oh.
That's what I thought maybe.
All right. Cool.
I watched the first 2 episodes.
I watched just the first episode. This is on Hulu.
Yeah, or Disney Plus if you have it mixed. Like, yeah.
What do you think of it?
I like it.
Yeah, me too.
It's like the first episode, I was like, okay.
It's a very generic start.
Yeah.
Which is why I was like, but then by the end you're like, this is what's going on.
And then episode 2 really
kind
of brings you into that, and you're like, oh, okay. It's interesting because it kind of like in general, this is like Silo.
Yes.
If the paths kind of went a very different way, right?
Yeah. Well, what I like about it though is because, like I mentioned, the beginning, the way it starts is very generic, almost like a NBC show.
Mm-hmm.
But I heard some buzz about the show. I'm like, all right, I'll check it out. Plus, the cast is good, especially Sterling K. Brown is awesome in this, and James Marsden.
Mm-hmm.
The main girl too. I've seen her in a lot of things.
Yeah, I don't know her name
but she's good. Yeah, all of them are good. But what was cool though, like even from the beginning, the actual environment and people, you get a sense that like something's off, like the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Like not sure what, and then obviously the end of the episode, I don't know if we should spoil it or not since it's still pretty new, but like that's was like, okay, this really got me into it by the end.
Me saying it's kind of like Silo.
Yeah, but that doesn't exactly explain it, but yeah, that's a hint to it. But that's when I was like, by the end of the episode, I was into it. I was like, oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch this.
Yeah,
and it's so different than like we mentioned.
It's very it's a different.
It's not This Is Us, which is the creator made that show.
Right, because it has like much more of a, I would say like a sci-fi element, so to speak, or whatever you want to call it.
We want to argue that it's sci-fi.
Right? Was
this is not sci-fi at all?
Youth Without
in my
Youth,
opinion.
Sci-fi?
No, also not sci-fi.
But yeah,
I would say Severance is getting close to it. Still not sci-fi, but it's getting there.
Yeah. So,
that's a preview
but I'm intrigued by this. This.
Me too.
This so far, and enjoying it. And like I said, episode 2 really takes you into it, and I think really cemented it more for me than episode 1. But
okay.
Yeah, now I'm looking forward to watching more of it. It's interesting. So
it is. I hope it gets more for episode 2. Does it get more weird, or I guess the right word is, because I almost got like a Truman Show type of feel in the beginning. Mm-hmm. Does it get more into that kind of thing too?
It does, and
okay, good.
But also it starts doing more backstory and how they ended up there.
Okay. Oh, that's cool.
And what's motivating, or what motivates that main lady to even like make this thing.
Gotcha.
And it's kind of like the final reveal and the end of episode 2, and you're like, oh,
all right,
yeah. You're like, okay.
Good.
Yeah. So
yeah, and it's I'm glad they did the thing where 3 episodes first came out, and then the 4th one just came out. So and I believe it's going to be 10 episodes.
okay.
Yeah. So yeah, check it out. It is very intriguing once you get especially the end of episode 1. Okay, we all done now?
I mean, I only had those 2.
Yeah, that's
you
it.
only
I
have
have
one,
to.
so.
All right.
So that is Paradise on Hulu
Yes.
or Disney Plus.
Yes.
And if I didn't say, you're cordially invited as an Amazon film?
Yeah, you said that. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
It's time for Based or Waste.
Now it is time for Based or Waste.
Let's pray I do better this time.
Yeah. Yeah. Welcome back, everyone, to Based or Waste, the internet game show. We go on Rotten Tomatoes and we look at what's trending, TV or movies, and I pick 10 of them, and Josh is going to guess if they're good or bad, Based or Waste. And we do this off of the audience score, because critics, those dang critics, you can't trust them. So we go by what the world thinks of a show or a movie.
The popular vote.
Yeah. Although sometimes those can be rather strange too.
Mm-hmm.
Since we've done so many of these now, it is interesting.
Every once in a while, it's a little like, whoa, really? Okay.
Yeah.
But most of the time,
It makes more sense than the critics.
yeah,
though.
the masses
Yeah.
know what's up.
Yes. So yeah, hopefully Josh does better this week. We are back to movies. Josh is a movie guy now.
This year, 2025 is the year of movies for me.
So maybe you'll get a perfect score.
I don't know. We'll see.
All right. Are you ready?
Yes. Yeah,
All
let's do this.
So we're like I mentioned before, we're recording early this week. So took me a little bit to find 10 movies.
Right. Because
there wasn't a lot of new
stuff. Didn't
stuff.
change as much. Yeah.
But I don't think we've done any of these. So, all right. First one is Getaway. This is the new Nick Frost movie. He's the only person I recognize in it.
Okay.
Don't really know what it's about.
Yeah. I don't know this film.
You haven't even heard of it? Okay.
No, I don't think so. Doesn't ring any bells. I'm going to say Waste.
Correct.
All right.
47. All right. Good start. All right. Next is Den of Thieves 2. Are you familiar with Den of Thieves?
I vaguely, I mean, I haven't seen the film, so.
Yeah, I never saw the first one.
I'm going
I want to.
I'm going to say Waste.
That is a good guess, but no, it is based.
Oh.
79.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I want to watch this movie because it's just like a ripoff of the movie Heat. That's what it seems like to me, and I love the movie Heat.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I kind of don't want to watch it because it's just not as good version of it. So
Yeah.
cool
But
cast.
people
though.
like the first film,
Yeah,
but
I know. You think a sequel to something like that, it's like probably gonna be a waste, but no, it's
yeah.
doing pretty
and
well.
Then, on that, but I know it didn't do so well in the theater.
No.
So that's why I was kind of like, because they were going to make a third one, and then like I think
Oh, really?
that's in question now because it didn't make very much money.
I don't think the first one did that well when it came out, even in theater. Yeah.
So I don't know.
All right, this next one. This is always interesting to see what's trending because this one, I don't know. This one doesn't make sense why it's trending, but The Menu.
Oh,
Remember this movie?
yeah.
It's like a couple years old now.
I'm gonna say
Anya Taylor-Joy?
I'm gonna say Based.
Yes, 76.
I mean, I liked it,
Yeah, me too. I really like this movie.
but yeah.
Next is You Hurt My Feelings. This is Julia Louis-Dreyfus's new movie. Never heard of it, but I love her though. She's great.
Mm-hmm. These are all. I mean, basically, the only one. Well,
I try to pick stuff that we both are maybe at least familiar with.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I'm not familiar with this film. I'm like, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say Waste.
Nope. Base 64.
Okay.
All right.
Just guessing.
I know. Sometimes that's all you can do.
Yeah.
Next is, this is interesting that this is turning now too again. Parasite. Remember this like won?
Yeah.
I think this won the year it came out.
Yeah, I did. I mean, obviously based.
Yeah, 93. Yeah, this movie's great. Did you ever watch this?
I still not seen it now,
It's very good.
but I know everyone likes it.
Bong Joon-ho, that
Both,
made Snowpiercer.
both critics and
Yeah,
non-critics like this film.
that's one of those rare instances where it's just all
It's loved
praise.
all around.
Yeah. All right, Dog Man. I've briefly heard about this. I think it's animated. It has like
It's a kid's movie, yeah, like a little kid's movie.
like a really crazy cast. Like really
Oh, I don't know who's
a
voicing
lot
it.
of famous people in it.
I'm going to say based.
Yes. 85.
It's hard to hate on like a kid's movie unless it's like really bad.
Yeah. Yeah, no. You normally can bet
The
pretty
audience
well.
will like, yeah.
Yeah, you
critics
can
are
bet.
going to say something about it, but
Yep. All right, that was Dogman. Now next is Wolfman. I don't care about this movie. I saw something about it. I was like, this looks weird.
yeah, I'm going to
but
say waste on this one.
yes. 56. Yeah, it doesn't look great. All right, September 5th. I heard of this movie, but I'm not sure what it's about. It's about September 5th, I guess, but
Yeah, I don't know anything about this.
it's got our boy from Presumed Innocent in it, not Jake Gyllenhaal. Peter Sarsgaard.
Oh.
Yeah. Don't remember who else is in it.
Let's say based.
Yeah.
All right.
91. Very high.
Oh, wow.
All right, 2 more. Well, hey, you're already at your score from last week.
Yes, so as long as I get one of these right,
Uh-huh.
I did better.
Yeah,
On an upswing.
that's right. Baby Girl.
Oh, I'll say based.
So you are familiar with this one.
I know
yeah.
what this film is. I
Nicole
have
Kidman.
I haven't watched it yet.
Me either.
It's one that I plan on watching.
No, this is a waste.
Ooh,
48. Hmm.
I feel like yeah. Well, I think the critics liked it then.
Yeah.
I feel like that I've heard good things about it.
Yeah.
So I was planning on watching it.
It's very rare. It's normally one or the other, like we just talked about. It's more rare to both critics and audience to like it, or critics and audience to hate it. Like Borderlands was a good example of that was just
No one
bad
liked it.
for everyone. All right, this last one, very, very exciting movie to me. I really want to see this. Companion. This is the director of Barbarian, which I've talked a lot about to you, and I was looking forward to what he was going to do next. This is his second film. Barbarian was his debut.
Let's say based.
Yeah, 90.
All right.
Has the girl from Yellow Jackets in it.
Which one?
Not Ella Purnell, the other main girl from Yellow Jackets. She's been in a lot of stuff recently.
Hmm. Who else is a mean girl in that? I don't know.
I don't remember her name in Yellow Jackets. It's been a while since I've seen Yellow Jackets, but
Yeah.
she's,
Season 3 is coming out soon, isn't it?
well, season 2 was pretty bad,
Yeah.
so
I know.
maybe I
I didn't even finish it, but I was like, but maybe
didn't either.
But maybe I'll start season 3 just and see how it goes.
Just jump back in.
Yeah, jump back in and see how it goes.
All right.
Cool. That's
Nice.
7.
7, not bad.
Yeah, at least it's not a D.
That's right. All right. Thank you for playing, Josh. And also everyone listening or watching, follow along at home. Let us know how you did. Let us know if you're a movie or TV person.
Right. Which one?
Yeah. Which one do you do better with? All right. That has been Based or Waste. Tune in next week.
All right. So let's now get into Severance, Season 2, Episode 4, Woe's Hollow. The
Yeah.
team participates in a group activity.
Oh, yeah. Very much
That's
so.
the synopsis.
Yeah, I mentioned the end of last week. I didn't say the title, but I heard the title ahead of time and I was very interested. Woe's Hollow. Very cool title.
So what was your overall thoughts on this before we get into it?
Yeah, I didn't write anything down for overall thoughts because I was still thinking about it because we just watched this. I did get to watch it both or 2 times. It was just a very exciting episode in general. Even when it starts, I'll go ahead and say like one of my first notes is just no title sequence in this. So I was like, oh, this is going to be something special if we're getting that. Because normally that's only for the season premiere. They do that. So
I mean, you say normally. We've got one
twice.
Yes.
2 seasons, yeah.
Well, yeah, but 2 seasons. But then this season they did this. So
Yeah. Well, that's how I knew, like, also obviously the way it started, but I was just like, oh, this is going to be something, like, we're in for a ride for sure. And it was, again, very, very dense episode, but in a very different way from last week's. Not jumping around a lot. Yeah. I mean, I loved it, but yeah, what did you think?
I mean, and yes, overall, I loved it. I will say that was a little slow, the first, like, half of the episode.
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, okay, where are we going? What are we doing with this? Not that it wasn't interesting, but it was like, I was like, this.
Yeah. And it was more singular focus because I guess something like that, they could cut to like something else, like Audi World or Severance Floor. Right. But no, we're staying the whole time. And
which is kind of, I mean, yeah. So the whole time we spend just with the innies, quote unquote.
Outside.
But then they're outside. Yeah.
Outside. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're the innies outside, which is, which is, I guess we haven't really had other than when they, did the overtime continuum. Yeah. OTC, but,
contingency. Yeah. Overtime contingency.
That's what it is. Yeah. Contingency, OTC. But yeah,
so you still loved it though. It's just,
in the end. Yeah. But it really brought a lot of things together in like the third act of this episode. And,
amazing ending, especially.
Yeah. But, we'll get to that. Mm-hmm. All right. So let's get into, the play-by-play here. So we, start with, Irving on a frozen lake in the middle of the frozen lake, and Mark's yelling to him from a cliff above.
Yeah. I was immediately, I thought it was interesting. They start with the elevator ding, and they do the, he's switching.
Yep.
Irving is to Annie. And I was just curious. I'm like, how did they do this? Because that means
same thought I had. Like, how did they convince the Audis to go stand there and to get there, or did they blind? I mean, how did they? Because they also don't probably want the Audis to know how to get to this place.
No.
So how did they do that? And maybe we'll find out, maybe not.
Right. Because it's for the other characters too. Now, Helly, not as much because we find out stuff about her. It's like, so it's not as important, like how did she get there? But yeah, like the 3 others, it's like, how did they?
Yeah, how they convince
they're Audi.
And then, I mean, not to, again, get too quick into like this stuff, but like, and let me just say, if you've not watched episode 4, don't listen to this because we're going to spoil stuff like crazy. And even episode 3, because
this is very big spoilers.
So at the end of episode 3, Mark starts to be reintegrated. So, but then doesn't seem like he's reintegrated yet.
Except for one moment.
There's a moment. Mm-hmm. There is a moment, but I don't think that's from that. I think it might be something else.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so when does this take place in time, right?
That's another good point. Yeah.
Like, is it
I imagine next episode is going to be Mark's reintegration, like where he goes next. But yeah, when does this?
But also,
I think it'd be around the same time. But you're saying because of that one moment, you think it might be something else. He's not reintegrated yet at all.
Yeah. I'm not saying maybe it's not right around the same time, but I don't know that it was immediate after the reintegration.
Okay.
Like I'm thinking we're seeing something right before that. But I don't know. Because then also, and then it still would
have to be because of the events that happen, especially at the end of this episode. Right. It has to be around the same, time for sure.
I mean, the weird thing is again, the Audis don't always know how much time has passed, and the Indies don't know how much time has passed. Because we're going to say, like, so just to kind of jump tiny bit ahead. So then they quickly notice that the other two are there, and they all end up on the top of this cliff together. I like the comment from Dylan, because he's like, "Whoa, there is a sky or whatever." He's like, because this is the first time.
It's not a ceiling.
It's not a ceiling.
He said something like that.
Yeah, because this is the first time he's actually his any has been in outside
at all. Yeah, because
the
he
rest
was
of them
holding
got
switches.
to. Yeah.
He wasn't out.
Yeah, in season 1. So it's interesting. Anyway, so then they're all, there's this like retro TV with a DVD play.
Yeah, I love this.
And well, did you catch? I did not confirm this, but I'm almost positive that is one of the templates from the old iDVD.
Is it really?
It looks so much like. I mean, obviously, I used that a lot more than you did, but back in the day. But the little templates they would give you to make DVD menus in iDVD.
That's awesome.
It looks so much like one. I mean, maybe it's slightly different, but it's basically.
Hey, they have access to all that. The Apple archives. They can.
I feel like that's an Easter egg they would do, but
that's cool.
Anyway, if it's not, it's so similar. But they hit play on this, and Milchek, it's a pre-recorded thing. The weird thing is though, it's skipping around like it's more like a VHS and not like a DVD, but like it's like got
that is true.
Weird. But anyway,
did you catch what the music was? Did you recognize the music that was being played?
No.
Before it starts, like when they're
well, I remember there was like a picture of the background, or what, the painting of him sitting, which I guess is what's supposed to be that cliff that they're at, but we don't know that. You didn't
recognize the music like when they're going over to it?
I don't remember it now at this point though.
Okay. So. It is the Kier hymn that Harmony sings a cappella in season 1, which is an awesome melody that, so I recognize that.
That's cool.
It was cool, yeah.
Anyway, so Milchek mentions that they are on an Ortbo, an outdoor retreat team building occurrence, yeah. And they are currently in Dieter Egan National Park. National Forest. Sorry, not National Park, National Forest. And we get a great line from Milchek here. Stray not from Kier's path, lest you roil nature's wrath.
Yes, that was another quote I was going to use at the beginning.
Yeah. But why I kind of want to jump this back to what we were talking about a second ago. He lets them know they're going to be out here for 2 calendar days.
Oh yeah, he does say that.
And again, speaking to like, how do they convince the Audis?
Yeah,
like I mean, like so we're going back like Dylan's wife, who we met, like how does she know like he's not going to come home from work for 2 days?
Yeah, they would have to inform her. Or something.
And then maybe that was part of the trade to get her to allow her to come in and see him. And they were like, okay, if we do this for you, you need to be okay. We're going to take him for a couple of days.
What are your thoughts on if she's works at Lumen also in security?
Why is that? That's easily possible because the whole freaking town they have their own national forest.
Although I know, although she does seem, but she's never been to, onto the severed floor until last week for the visitation, but
yeah, she might work there.
Yeah, she's probably upstairs, like with that huge, the entrance to Lumen, she's just doing security.
Very possible.
And if that's the case, then she would just know about it. Like, oh, my husband is going on this 2-day retreat. Yeah.
Anyway, but I just, again, Devin, Mark's sister,
yes,
and Rickon, like, why would they would be like, you're not answering our calls, and it's been, 2 days or whatever. And obviously, Irving doesn't really have anybody as far as we know, but
Which, speaking of that, I love how heavy Irving this episode is. Because we were curious about. Now we still don't get some of the answers we were curious about,
right,
of him. But yeah, I love how much this episode was focused on him. I just want to, because I think I had one more I didn't mention up top. Quotes that I really liked because it was around this same time. Yeah. Oh yeah, he says it in this. he asks, "Are you quietly yearning to learn more?"
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the video. Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he talks about that. Yeah, and so he mentions about the forbidden
archive, fourth archive,
the book. Forbidden fourth Kier appendix in Scissor Cave.
Right.
So the name, like, why Scissor Cave? Why?
Yeah.
So random.
Yeah, and then like you said, there's no title sequence because they just come up with like the word Severance
in like the sky
with outline in the sky. And so then they start to follow these office dressed versions because they're all in like outdoor winter gear because it's like snowing,
like Russian inspired outfits.
Yeah. And they see these like,
you see Mark first.
Yep. And then but anyway, so they're following them for direction.
I like this is like the CGI looking. It's the same art style as the intro sequence. Did you notice that with these characters? It's just it's cool because it's not like supposed to look
real,
very real. Yeah, it's like, it's its own style.
Yeah. So they follow them, pointing them in the right direction, and they come upon the cave, Scissor Cave, and they find the fourth book.
Yeah. So before they get to the cave, I want to mention this also because this episode had so many great. Well, the score in general was really great in this episode, but there was a lot of different cues that I pointed out. Obviously, from the TV,
lots of new stuff in this.
A lot of new stuff too. Yeah. But when they're getting to the cave, the theme for the Kier Perpetuity Wing is being played, which is cool. There was a little bit of a embellishment on it, but I noticed that because it was a very distinctive cue that I remember from episode 3 in season 1 when they first to the Perpetuity Wing. So very heavily like any Kier themes musically is in this episode. It's a lot of that.
And then they I love how there's like just somehow electricity with a light shining down on the book.
Yep. Seemingly out of nowhere.
And they read from the book and find out that Kier had a twin.
Dieter? Is it Dieter?
Dieter, yeah. And then that the Kier and his twin had wandered into this path to Woe's Hollow. And then there's a map. And so they figure that's where we need to go. So they take the map and they start heading that direction.
I have a potentially like crazy theory, but just it made me think of it when Helly's reading out of the book, this fourth appendix. The way stuff is written by Kier, it's reminding me more and more of how Rickon writes in his book. It's very similar, like the verbiage.
Did you start reading his book?
No, I didn't yet. No, I will. But do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's pretty similar. And I'm just wondering, is Rickon involved, maybe without even knowing, or I don't know, related to, I don't know. I just, very similar.
Okay, not something I thought about, but yeah. So then we get a few more of what Dylan and Irving's, because we get Helly and Mark's before this, and pointing them in the directions.
Helly was next that you see her pointing.
Then Irving. Right, or is it Dylan?
I think it's Dylan.
Yeah, Dylan.
Because I don't remember seeing Irving until they're all together, the four of them, which was interesting.
Yeah.
When they're walking, you know, you're hearing more of the book from Irving's reading. I would say there's a lot of crazy lines in this episode, but the most ridiculous one that he reads when they're walking is, Dieter spilled his lineage onto the soil.
That comes up later.
Yeah, but he reads it. Yeah, they talk about it later. But he mentions it. It's part of the passage.
Just reading it then. Yeah.
Crazy.
And then we also get this moment.
It's a crazy way to say something like that.
We also get this moment where Irving starts questioning Mark about Helly.
Yes.
In there too, before they get to the hollow. And he's kind of like, what were you guys talking about? You know?
Because he sees them.
Yeah, talking. Yeah. And so also they come across a dead seal. Which
that's what it's supposed to be, but is it?
Well, I just think it's interesting because the idea that they don't know what a dead thing looks like.
No, that was a cool point that Mark said. He's like, I guess this is what dead things look like. Yeah.
Or smell like, you know, it's kind of just like that's not something they're familiar with.
I don't think seals would be in this type of area.
Yeah, I don't know. And then you also get this Irving still really on edge.
Yeah.
And because then he thinks Dylan said something because they're like, you know, we had a tough time out there. And then he's like, what'd you sell him? And he's like, he didn't say anything.
Mm-hmm. He's like, we should eat it. We should eat the seal.
And then they come and find the hollow where there's a waterfall and Mr. Milchek's there.
Yep.
And he tells them it's the biggest waterfall in the world.
In the world. Dude, yeah, that was so funny. It's like not even a grand scale of a waterfall, even the perspective that you see of it.
Yes.
And I love it. He says, like, I thought the waterfall's grandeur would satiate you enough.
Yes.
When he asks, like, we're starving.
When Irving says they're starving.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we see their little, their other versions of them up there. They're all up on the top of the waterfall. He leads them to the campsite where we see Miss Wong is there. And she's preparing stuff, like food and stuff. And then we get another great quote from Milchek. The outhouse is stocked with 4-ply washroom tissue.
Yes. I had that down. The other thing he says, copious luxury meats.
Yes.
And there will be a recital later. Oh, and he says the tents are MDR blue.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then he hands them torches. Mark thinks it's beautiful. And then you think, okay, he's never seen fire either.
Yeah.
Because there's no fire on Severed Floor.
And especially if you think of them as kids, it's like wanting to play with fire in general would be like it's the coolest thing ever. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. There's definitely a lot of moments in this episode where they're like, child comes out. It seems.
Right.
With a lot of the characters, especially Mark.
But I did see, do you watch the after the episode stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, I saw it for this one, yeah.
Yeah. Did you see Dan Erickson talking about how season 2 is more like their adolescence?
Yes. I do remember him saying that, yeah.
But yeah,
that's
cool. There's always an in-between of that where you still kind of, adolescence is a lot of like regressing to your childlike or then sometimes acting like an adult. You're kind of back and forth.
Yes.
But anyway. So then we get a moment again in the tent with Helly and Irving because she goes in to check on him. And he, again, is very forceful asking her what she saw during the OTC because he doesn't believe her what she said about the gardener, the night gardener.
Exactly. And she sticks to her story and doesn't really say anything.
Just like, doesn't even try to defend herself, which is, I guess, better because, right, if you're lying and you start defending yourself, you sound guilty. So just walking away.
Especially if you just ramble on about it.
So just walking away is just kind of like, whatever, dude, and just walking away. Yeah. And then we get the recital where Miss Wong is playing an instrument. Do you know what this instrument's called?
Oh, yeah. I love this instrument. This is a theremin.
Theremin? Okay.
Yeah. I got to play one only once, and it was on a tour I was on. I don't remember why this instrument was there. I think one of the other bands we played a show with had it, and I love the sound of a theremin anyway, but it's just so cool because, it's like the only instrument that you use it through. You're not touching it at all.
Yeah, sound wave.
But each hand is doing different things to change the pitch. And it's awesome.
Yeah, they use one in that other show, The Blue Butterfly and the Machine. What's that called?
Oh, I know what show you're talking about. It's on Apple, yeah.
Yeah. But
It's called like the big something.
Yeah, something. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they used one. They had one.
Oh,
of that.
do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's cool. And
I love that there's Kier is on the marshmallows.
Yes. So then, yes. So then, and Milchek's reading more from the passage.
Yeah.
And he kind of ends on a certain chapter, and he's like, "Oh, maybe we'll read some more tomorrow or later."
Mm-hmm.
I can't, And Helly starts laughing at the story.
Yeah.
I like Milchek says, "You know, we often laugh at what we don't understand."
Mm-hmm. I had some picture of them filming this scene because like Milchek is so good at being just serious and not breaking it all, and like they're all laughing. I feel like that had to have been hard to film.
Yes,
because I mean they're just what they're talking about too, and he's so serious.
Yep. And then that's when she's like, "Oh, come on!" Like,
yeah,
she makes a joke about him like masturbating and blah 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 because that's.
Yeah, she's basically like, that's what he did.
And then he melted and turned into, yeah.
Yeah, because so Dieter, not really like very clear, but somehow started dying, or Kier was trying to kill him and then put him in a waterfall to drown out his cries. And I love that Dylan says, yeah, that's actually really smart. And this is the most important thing, which, because we see a picture of it and then obviously we see later, but Kier talks about first meeting the woe temper being portrayed by a very short woman dressed as a bride. And you see a picture of it first.
Yeah, he turns the book around and shows everybody a picture. Yeah. Yeah, so Milchek is not happy that everyone's kind of starts laughing with, Mark and even Dylan. Irving's the only one taking it seriously. And
right, well, because then Helly says something very mean to him that makes him walk off.
Yeah, but right before that is when then Miss Wong dumps the marshmallows into the fire because they're not team players.
That's right.
All those square... Like, where do you get square marshmallows like that?
They also looked huge.
And they were huge, and they had the Kier face like branded on there. Yeah. Props to the props department.
Exactly. Props to the props department.
All right, and so then so he's pressing.
Oh, that's right. That's what happened first.
After that, and then
he's pressing Helly and Mark,
and then Mark giving her googly eyes or whatever he says,
googly eyes,
and then even Dylan kind of starts defending him, and he gets mad. He's like, "Oh, I see it's 3 versus 1."
Yeah,
and then she finally, says something mean. You're like, "We understand," like kind of like you're
lonely because you're never going to see Bert again.
Yeah.
This is also the moment where, because there's so many good lines in this episode, this is where we have the best line, in my opinion. Irving says to Mark, "Using your pupils to make love to her." So good.
Using your pupils to make love.
But after Helly says, he's alone and he won't see Bert again, that's when he gets up and leaves.
Yes. Yeah, he gets up and leaves. He wanders off.
Yeah, wanders into the woods.
And we don't really know he wanders into the woods yet, but
yeah, I guess he just walks off.
He just kind of gets up and walks away a little bit, and then we get Helly in her tent, and Mark walks in.
Yep,
ready to use his eyes.
Oh yeah.
So things escalate very quickly as teenage kids would.
If that makes sense to what you're saying, Dan Erickson said, adolescence for sure. Of
course, one of the notes I put was, did Helena plan this whole thing so she could hook up with Mark?
It does seem that way.
Because we don't know yet, but what was the purpose of this, outing?
Right.
Overall, what was the purpose of the outing? Because this book is not allowed on the severed floor. So these are things that they're not supposed to be learning. Yet,
yeah, we don't really get the purpose of the whole exercise to begin with, or the whole retreat. The only thing he says is like, this is a way for your any to see the outside world, because Milchek says at the beginning. But that's really all we get about it.
But
we don't know
But it's Lumen. There's got to be ulterior motives, right?
For sure.
But then it's like, or is it just selfish on Helena's part, where the whole reason why she's even going back? Because
but for this whole thing, I don't think Lumen and Milchek would go along with all this just for that. Like, there's definitely more purpose than that. There has to be.
Yeah, I don't know, but so then this is when we start seeing Irving wandering off, and kind of cuts between them making.
Yeah, but this is also where we see the Mark and Helly. This is where we see the flash.
Right. So then, yes, there's a quick flash. He loses his torch and he falls asleep in the dark, out in the cold, and then we see them kind of, I guess, mid lovemaking, whatever you want to say it. Where he gets the
this is afterwards.
I guess they finish
because they talk for like a second, because Mark's like, I don't care what you are on the outside.
Yeah, she says something about being ashamed.
Yes.
But yeah, she shares with Mark.
Really cool camera movement too, the way they do it.
They flap around, but then we get a quick flash of Gemma's face
on Helly's face.
So this is where
you don't think it's reintegration.
I don't know. Like I mean, I think it could also be just something so intimate as having sex with someone, maybe triggering bleed over from, and then it's like triggering his memories of doing that, which was probably with his wife.
Yeah.
And so I could see it being before the reintegration. It's still happening, something like that.
No, and that's definitely true too. It could be that. I just know because of how we saw the process with Petey.
Yeah.
Like some of that stuff definitely happens, or something similar.
But then the question is, if he does have if this is post the reintegration, then he should be aware of. And I mean, I feel like they're not having him act like he's an outie entity.
That's a good point. Yeah, he's acting very
He's still acting like his any. Yeah. Whereas Helly, I mean, we were kind of onto it from the start.
Yes.
That she wasn't acting the same.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's been at least one thing every episode leading up to this where she's done that's been out of place.
Yep.
That Irving has picked up on every time.
Yep.
But yeah, he falls asleep on a rock.
He kind of wakes up in the woods, but he's dressed for work, and he sees their 4 desks.
This is such a cool visual. Yeah. This whole
scene. And then the woods even look a little different than it was when he fell asleep. And then he sits down to start data refining.
Yeah.
And then Bert shows up right behind, like in the other chair, but then he pulls the thing up and he looks over.
Cool, yeah.
Someone else is working, and it's our
it's the Woe bride or whatever you want to call it.
The Woe bride, or
it's like a manifestation of the Woe temper, I guess.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's how they say it in the story.
Yeah. So whatever it is. And then he actually wakes up and he's in his winter outdoor attire, and he starts running.
Well, I want to say, because this whole like dream sequence, like obviously it could have a bunch of different meanings or a deeper meaning, but honestly, from what all we see, it just seems like it's just what he naturally would dream about. Because obviously Bert's always on his mind, so we saw that work, and then this crazy story that was just told to him.
Right.
So it's like those are things he's seen. So that all makes sense to me. It's just like that's what's in his subconscious.
Right. But then waking up, I mean, because the events that we follows to, he obviously had a revelation.
Oh yeah.
But again, it's kind of weird. But so then we go back. We see. So he starts running, and then we're back to the tents, and Mark and Dylan wake up and see Helly and Irving are missing.
Yep.
And Milchek shows up. And then we see Helly is back at the waterfall, and Irving shows up behind her.
Yep. And
he says, "Hey, kid."
Yeah.
And then
he asks her like one final time.
Yep. Yeah.
I love the phrasing he uses too. saying, "Hey kid," and then, "What are you doing down here?"
Right.
Awesome line.
Yep. And then he's like, who would have the resources? And so he knows she has to be someone powerful and high up in Lumen.
Yeah, he says that. Like, yeah, he says
he jumps the
who would have that much power to do that?
He jumps the conclusion she's an Egan.
Yeah.
Which I think that's a little far-fetched for him to make that assumption. But
yeah.
You know, like it's like, why would he assume that? But I mean, I would assume that she's like, oh, you're like somebody high up.
Yeah.
But doesn't mean she's got to be an Egan. But anyway.
Right.
But yeah, we get this
grabs her,
and then of course
into the water.
They start yelling, and then everyone else at the campsite hears them. So then they come down to the hollow where the waterfall is.
Yes, they all converge.
So they're all there at the top waterfall, watching them, and they're like, Irving, stop! Irving, stop! And
I love his lines here. Also, what Irving says, where he says, "Turn her back. She's an Audi," and then says, "She's not Helly. She's an Egan."
Yep.
Yeah.
And then finally she says, Seth.
While attempting to drown.
Yeah. And then she comes up and she's like, Seth, just do it. And then he's like, yes, Seth, do it. Mm-hmm. Which now they all know his name is Seth, which they didn't know before. So finally he calls on the radio and has someone flip the switch to actually turn her to Helly.
Very important wordage what he uses though. Did you catch it?
What did he use? No, I guess not.
He says, remove the Glasgow block now. When we speculated all the different protocols, Glasgow was one of them.
Yeah.
On the long list of, there was like Beehive. There's a lot of different ones. Elephant was one I remember. Because we speculated on all of them. So this is the protocol to, I guess, block you from changing when you get on the elevator or whatever, or
must be.
So just keeping you in your
Audi state.
Yeah, Audi state. Yeah.
So
I'm glad we got like at least one new thing confirmed, like something else that they can do.
Yeah, but also confirms this theory that a lot of us have had since episode 1, I guess, right? The because episode 1 was all Annie, and then well, and like I said, I used quotes earlier because technically she was an Audi the whole time. So that episode there isn't, but they're on the severed floor of the whole episode.
Yeah,
and then this one they're out here in of course but so it does confirm that
she has been Helena
the whole time.
But yeah, we still don't know. And you were asking us like, what was her
motives for doing that?
We don't know that for sure.
He calls her a mole.
Yes,
Irving does. So then, Bilchek moves to fire Irving, basically.
Yeah, it's just like you basically erasing any record of him. I mean, it's basically a death sentence
of his innie. And he seems to be okay with it, though, because he kind of feels like...
Well, he even is a great shot where he's
just kind
like
of
staring down Milchek and not scared at all.
Yeah.
Irving. And he walks off. He seems completely at peace.
Yeah.
I don't know what else he knows or is aware of that.
Again,
lets him be that way.
His Audi, obviously, we brought us up last week.
Right.
His Audi was obviously doing a lot of investigation into Lumen and doing a lot of stuff that we still aren't aware of, like what details of that are. But we also get another great line. May Kier's mercy follow you into the eternal dark.
Yeah. This is, I mean, it was just really tense in general, like a very great closing scene to the episode. And I love how they cut to it where it's just, he calls on there. He's like, do it now or whatever he says. And we end the episode on him, on Irving. Just awesome that we start with him and end with him.
Probably ding ding a bit, basically, but also like leaving it there, and we ended on Mark the week before with him and his integration. It's like So we got these two huge cliffhangers of like where are things going next, and
it's very exciting. Just like last week of like how much more we have still to go, and there's so much they can do.
Episode 4, and we've done all this.
Yeah,
so crazy. And we've got Mark reintegrating. We've got them aware now that Helena had been around them, and then Mark slept with Helena and not Heliar, and then now they have Heliar, I guess, in their presence. But and so she hasn't been around for a while. Like she's been turned off, so she hasn't existed for a while. So I wonder.
It is good. You see, but you do see the switch. So like,
she does. The actress does a great job.
And she's back to Helly, and you can see the difference too. Like they're like he's holding her. Yeah.
And also, I mean, fantastic job. Playing Helena trying to be Heliar.
Yeah.
So you're almost like you have to create these two characters, but then you have to even have the one character try to pretend like the other character, and it all feel distinct, and it does. So
yes,
Britt
but still
Lauer,
giving
Britt
Lauer,
Lauer, that's
but still getting very little subtle hints every episode too.
Yeah, just phenomenal.
That like so when people that aren't aware at all find or see the end of this episode and then go back and watch the first 3 again and seeing those different or first 4 episodes and seeing all those little differences. Really cool.
But the interesting thing that this tells us is, I guess, as long as the implant is still there, the any exists.
Yeah.
So even though she was been turned off for a while and blocked.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is like Irving getting fired, like that his Innie will still exist in there somewhere. And so if he ever comes back.
Yeah, but we don't know just because of the way Milchek said all that to him at the end. They might force to try to get, or no, I guess they can't just take the chip out. So
we don't know. But yeah, it's just interesting.
Whatever they can do to, completely erase, like they said, his existence or memory of his Innie. Yeah. So.
Any other thoughts?
I just want to say again, just like last week, the outro end credits music is sick.
Right.
They've been doing so good with those needle drops.
So what are we going to see next week?
I have no idea.
I would have never, so obviously, like, I don't care in a million years, I would never predicted this for episode 4. So it's like to keep you on your toes for sure. Yeah.
I don't know. Write in if any of y'all.
Yeah. What do you predict for episode 5? Let us know. And of course, let us know any of your thoughts on episode 4 or 3, 2, 1, like anything that happened prior to this.
Yes.
You can send that to feedback@screentimepod.com or leave a comment or send a message on Instagram. You can like and subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. And you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok on all Screen Time Pod. And if you'd like, you can follow me or Jared on Instagram. I'm at JYoungBar.
And I'm at Jared Youngbar.
All right. Well, next time, praise Kier.